Good morning, everyone. Today is the 2nd of November, 2023. Early, real early. Thursday morning. We're ready for the 18th chapter of John. One of the verses that stands out in this chapter is the 36th verse, which Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence." There's an awful lot of people today trying to say that Christ is going to set up an earthly kingdom. But true Christians are looking for the new Jerusalem, a heavenly kingdom coming down out of God, out of heaven, not an earthly kingdom. Now this chapter is the arrest of Jesus, his betrayal by Judas. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, where a garden into which he entered and his disciples. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said, "Whom seek ye?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said unto them, "I am he." And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he had said unto them, "I am he," they went backward and fell to the ground. Then asked he them again, "Whom seek ye?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said, "I've told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spake of them which thou gavest me have I lost none." Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then Jesus said unto Peter, "Put up thy sword into the sheath. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it?" Then the band and the captain and the officer of the Jews took Jesus and bound him, and led him away to Annas first, for he was a father-in-law to Caiaphas, which was a high priest that same year. Now Caiaphas was he which gave counsel to the Jews that it was expedient that one man should die for the people. And Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. That disciple was known unto the high priest, and went in with Jesus into the palace of the high priest. But Peter stood at the door without. Then went out that other disciple which was known to the high priest, and spake unto her that kept the door, and brought in Peter. Then saith the damsel that kept the door unto Peter, "Art not thou also one of the man's disciples?" He said, "I am not." And the servants and officers stood there, who had made a fire of coals. It was cold, and they warmed themselves, and Peter stood with them and warmed himself. The high priest then asked Jesus of his disciples and of his doctrine. Jesus answered him, "I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, where the Jews always resort, and in a secret have I said nothing. Why askest thou me? Ask them which heard me what I have said unto them. Behold, they know what I said." And when he had thus spoken, one of the officers which stood by struck Jesus with the palm of his hand, saying, "Answerest thou the high priest so?" Jesus answered him, saying, "If I have spoken evil, bear witness of the evil, but if well, why smitest thou me?" Now Annas had sent him bound unto Caiaphas the high priest, and Simon Peter stood and warmed himself. They said therefore unto him, "Art not thou also one of his disciples?" He denied it, and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, being his kinsman, whose ear Peter cut off, saith, "Did not I see thee in the garden with him?" Peter then denied again, and immediately the cock crew. Then led they Jesus from Caiaphas unto the hall of judgment, and it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, but they might eat the Passover. Pilate then went out unto them and said, What accusation bring ye against this man? They answered and said unto him, If he were not a malefactor, we would not have delivered him up unto thee. Then said Pilate unto them, Take ye him and judge him according to your law. And the Jews therefore said unto him, It is not lawful for us to put any man to death, that the saying of Jesus might be fulfilled, which he spake, signifying what death he should die. Then Pilate, entering into the judgment hall again, and called Jesus, and said, Art thou the king of the Jews? Jesus answered him, Sayest thou the thing of thyself, or did others tell it of thee? Pilate answered, Am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Jesus answered, My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, and I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Jesus answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Pilate saith unto him, What is truth? And when he had said this, he went out again to the Jews, and saith unto them, I find in him no fault at all. But ye have a custom that I should release unto you one at the Passover, and ye therefore that I release unto you the king of will ye therefore that I release unto you the king of the Jews? Then cried they all again, saying, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. Well, Christ had been seen and heard by the Pharisees and scribes, going on 3.5 years. They knew what he taught. They knew that he proclaimed himself as being the Son of God. They had seen him cast the money changers out of the temple. They'd seen him perform many miracles. They'd seen him do all of these things, including raising Lazarus from the dead. They were even wanting Lazarus killed, so it would annihilate the reality of Jesus' power. They wanted him gone because he was a threat to their power, their jurisdiction. Many people today want the true Jesus gone and have created a false Jesus, a Jesus that is is under their authority. Man wants to be authority over Jesus. That's what they wanted to do. They took authority over the Son of God right here. At least they thought. Jesus told them that the only reason that they were allowed to do it was that his time was come. He said that regarding Peter, My Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? This was determined by the determinate counsel of God that he should be crucified. None of these people would have any power over him if it wasn't given to him from above, given to them from above. And so this was just all a fulfillment of the prophecy. That's what it was. Caiaphas even knew the prophecy. He said it was expedient that one should die for the people. He was actually fulfilling prophecy when he said that regarding the Messiah. Jesus said he spoke openly. He ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple where the Jews always resort. And in secret he said, I've said nothing. Well, Pilate said, I find no fault in him. But they didn't want to hear it, did they? In fact, they would rather have a robber, Barabbas, released to them than Jesus. Jesus said, Pilate asked him if he was a king, and Jesus said, Thou sayest, I am a king. Jesus said, To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice. Jesus Christ never denied his authority and his kingship. He always affirmed it. And so, this is the events leading up to his crucifixion. And we see that he was obedient in all that the Father asked him to do. And I'm glad he was, for all of those who hear his voice and believe the truth of the gospel. May the good Lord be with you today. It's my prayer. God bless.